All right, everyone, I hope you like that track, because now we've got the artist who played it on the line. That is Mr. Turk Tresize. And
are you sure?
I don't. He should be there. That's if I'm saying his last name right.
No, I'm here.
Turk, how the hell are you?
I'm pretty good. How you guys going over there?
Well, not bad. It's middle of the night for us and middle of the morning for you, so appreciate you doing this.
Nah, it's all good. All good.
So I've got to ask before we get to the standard boring questions.
Okay.
Have you ever heard our show before?
No, I haven't. I've been wanting to get down there. I've got a few friends down there as well, so...
So you don't know what you've gotten yourself into?
I have no idea.
All right.
You're going to have a long talk with your publicist when this is over.
But we do appreciate you doing this. We know you have a baby boy due any moment, so
yeah,
appreciate your time.
Yep, no worries. As long as he doesn't come during this, it'll be fine.
Yeah, hopefully he's not in the process of being born during the interview. Although we could get the first exclusive on that.
Breaking news.
With a new baby coming along, do you have any pets that are going to be jealous of the newcomer?
Yeah, we do. We've got a couple of dogs, so I think they're gonna find it a little bit rude that they don't get the attention. But
well, you know, some meaty table scraps can go a long way.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, they get plenty of them. Part of the family. Dog lovers, horse lovers, because I've got a farm as well. There's another bunch of dogs there as well, and about 40 horses and cows and all that kind of stuff. So we're pretty avid animal lovers.
Is that where home is these days, on the farm?
Yeah, I've got both. I live around the corner. It's a family farm, and the studio is actually that I write in. I've been recording in Nashville as well, but most of the stuff. But the writing and all that goes on in the studio, which is on the farm, which is an old dairy, milk and dairy that we absconded from my father and turned into a studio.
Nice. You're not making cheese while you're recording, are you?
No. Well, I hope not. I hope it's not too cheesy.
Well, you know, that's kind of an old blues tradition anyway. A lot of the old guys used to say they were, you know, going out to the woodshed to practice, you know, taking it to the woodshed. You're just taking it to the dairy shed.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what we've gone from milking cows to milking musicians, trying to get the best out of them and turn it into some kind of product. I think it does, like you're saying, with the animals. On the recordings, you might have a horse sound or a bunch of cows running past, so...
Yeah, gotta hope those moves were in time with the music. Turk, you mentioned that you recorded in Nashville, but right now you're living in Australia.
Yeah.
And you also lived and played music in London for a good while.
Yeah.
Where would you say you got your musical style, your influence from the most?
I think it'd be a little bit of both. I think London was really good starting out, although I'd done a fair, some years of playing around. But when you step into such a big city as in from Melbourne versus London, definitely made you think about whether you felt you could have a crack at it or not. Well, I didn't really know how long I was going to survive there. It was more of a let's just see what happens. But it turned out that good that we were there for a year. And then, because there was a lot of people there, the influences were changed up a bit because you had the international people from everywhere there, musicians. So it mixed it up really nicely and not just hanging in your hometown and only having that influence. So I think London was a big part of it. Obviously, Melbourne's a huge part of it. And lately, obviously, America and Nashville is now luckily enough to get that to be tipping into my bucket too, to see what happens with that influence.
Yeah, definitely. In the States, that is one of the places you think about when you think of cities that are part of the music scene.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Great place. Love it.
How old were you when you moved to London, Turk?
What's it then?
Or should I say, when did you start playing music? Is it when you moved to London or before that?
I started pretty late, when I was 20, although everyone's keen on music, I just didn't really think about it. Although my mother played piano, and it for some reason eluded me, and then all of a sudden it went bang, and that was it. I was like, oh, there it is. Now I found it. So from that point on, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. So I was 20 then, and I went to London when I was about, I was 20 when I started, and then I went to London when I was about 26, got back when I was about 27, and then because we'd done that, I'd met a lot of people over there, and they all decided they were from all around Australia, but they were travelling, and a few people from overseas, and they decided to come back to London. So that same vibe came back to Melbourne, and we put it all together here, and that attracted a lot of attention because we had a big buzz on about the whole thing. So that worked out pretty good.
Well, it sounds like you had some talent early on to draw all those people back to Australia with you to play in the band.
The music's one thing, but obviously you don't do it alone. So it's definitely important who you have in your team and who you associate with and what their attitude towards it is.
Well, that's true. I mean, look at me. I have to associate with Delta all the time, and you can see what that does for my attitude.
Well, I'm saying nothing on that one.
Good call.
Well, like you said, you did get kind of a late start, which is pretty different from what we normally hear around here. Like I started playing when I was 3. I started playing in the womb,
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think it changed the way you play music or the way you approached your career in music to start at that late of an age?
Yeah, I definitely think it did. I think in the process of being late, I don't think I could actually be influenced in playing because I don't think I had enough talent to be influenced. To be actually, we've all heard a lot of people write songs and you go, oh, that sounds like someone else, because they're actually talented enough to sound like someone else. And I think I developed into my own thing more so.
It's funny that you say it that way.
Yeah.
Right before you came on, when we were listening to Daddy Was a Roller, we were saying to each other we couldn't really figure out a genre to place you in. There was a little bit of rock, some blues, a little bit of country and folk.
Well, some people might even argue that being original and creating your own music is maybe even more talented than copying somebody and trying to go from there.
Yeah.
You're making good original music. Pat yourself on the back.
No, not yet. Maybe later. Yeah, I think it is. I think it might be a little rarer than the other way around. Like you just said, though, in that you can hear influences of genres. I'm not saying I'm not influenced at all, or I'd sound like Frank Zappa or someone, but you can still hear genres. But like you said, I don't know which way it fits. There's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but I have no choice because I can only write from the heart, and if that's what's coming out, then that's what's coming out. I actually enjoy seeing what comes out.
Well, what are you listening to these days? What's making the rounds on the Turk playlist?
I'm a bit of a Chris Cornell fan, and I've listened to, from Pink Floyd to not really into anything in particular. I really put songs on that it just inspire me to get up and keep playing or to write another song, just basically to get back into what I'm doing. So I really just play it for inspiration and to, I guess, to shake off listening to my own stuff so damn much, which only because I have to, not because I love me, just because I have to. So yeah, I'll listen to anything that's going to shake it up a bit and make me feel good.
I think most people are that way. I mean, the show is called The Blues Record, but we don't play just blues. We play other music influenced by the blues as well.
Well, we've been called many things, most of the time eclectic.
Yeah.
Yeah, eclectic's one of the nicer things we've been called. But for instance, just a couple of weeks ago, we did a special show where we just played bluegrass and folk and Americana. And, that was a far stretch from a standard blues show playlist, but I think, it's good to show the influence that other music has had on the blues and the influence blues has had on other genres, because the blues has really spread itself around.
Yeah, well, we were saying that the other day, or actually just this morning, that obviously, the blues had a baby and they called it rock and roll. So in that, it all stems back. There's the granddaddy of it all, along with jazz. It's all in the family, really, isn't it? Depending on how you look at it. If it has to be hardcore blues, then fair enough. But it really did give birth to the world's music. So it's all related.
So what's next? Back in Australia, waiting on the brand new son? Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you very much. Yeah, well, I've got a few things coming up. We've got some shows around this. So we're just working on the next album at the moment, which is nearly done. That'll be coming out in 2/5. We'll back that up with a US tour. Probably in July, I think we'll be back over there, which I'm looking forward to extremely.
Great.
And we've also got another one of your boys coming back over here just after Christmas to do some shows with us, a guy named Eric Lee Bedingfield.
Did you meet him while you were here?
Yeah, I met him in Nashville and we hooked up and got along pretty good. So he's going to actually come over here and do some shows with us and check out Australia and see what we can do.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, and after that, I've also got a festival I run called Shed Rock. So that's usually got about 15 to 20 bands in it at the festival. So there's a lot going on between the boy getting here, finishing off the album, and getting all these shows that I've got coming up sorted out, and the album itself. So yeah, got a lot going on, I guess.
Sounds like it. When you get your tour dates all nailed down, make sure you let us know, because if you can be in the area, we'll come see you.
Absolutely. That'd be great. Most definitely.
Yeah, and anyone in Australia or traveling to Australia in the future, just go to turktresize.com, and I'm sure any upcoming tour dates will end up there as well.
Yeah.
All right, so you mentioned that you have a new album coming out in 2015.
Yeah.
How do you feel about putting out a full-length album versus a single or a couple tracks or an EP, which we see a lot of artists doing these days, which is putting out a few tracks here and there instead of doing the full-length album? How do you look at it? What do you prefer as far as doing a full-length traditional release or some digital tracks here and there?
Well, I think it's a hard one because no one really knows which way to work it nowadays. And think the industry's a bit confused about the whole thing, full stop. So I think it's really whatever you feel is the best. Everyone's having a bit of a guess at the moment. I think for myself, I've got a lot of a backlog of songs. Right. So in the whole thing, I think I don't think you need to put 15 songs on an album, but I still think it needs to be long enough to get your point across. And yeah, you can stick out a single, and I mean you're going to do that anyway, as opposed to a 6-pack or an EP. I think it's really about your strategy, what you've got.
I think personally for me, there's something rewarding about getting a full-length album from an artist that you're really into.
I think you've got to listen to it yourself and say, right, is that starting to get too long, or have I just stuck? Is there too many fillers in there? So it's all strategy really, isn't it? It's basically strategy of entertainment. Is it still going to be entertaining if it goes for an hour, or does it need to be 35 minutes?
Right, like you said, it depends on the message that you're trying to relay. Do you need the whole hour or, just one song?
Yeah.
All right, Turk. Our listeners are used to us being a little irreverent, I think is the word that's been used a few times.
Which is meaning?
That means we're going to ask you questions that aren't normal.
Okay, cool.
All right, first one right out of the gate. You've done a lot of touring. You've toured around the world. What's a story that you haven't told about something that's happened while on tour that we could convince you to tell us about?
Well, if he hasn't told it, don't you think there's a reason for that?
Well, I would have been remiss if I didn't at least try, right?
A story that...
a story that you look back and go, wow, that was a good night.
But hopefully won't get you in too much trouble.
Well, that's... who it involves and how that comes out might be dangerous.
All right. How about I move on to a safer question then?
Yeah, there's so many of those, as you could imagine.
All right, let's just say that Turk and his band are having a good time out on tour, and if you go see them, you will too.
You definitely will, yeah. I've always got a good crew. They're always a little wild, which you have to do. You've got to do it because you want to, and because it's great fun, not because it's all very damn serious.
Well, you got to love what you're doing, whether you make any money at it or not.
Yeah. I think you're very lucky if you can experience this whole music thing. It's a gift for sure.
Well, since you're not that familiar with our show, let me preface this next question a little bit.
Sure.
I'm known as a bit of a connoisseur of the drink, if you will.
He's a lush.
Oh, shut the hell up. I do like to expand my drinking knowledge whenever possible. So what does Turk like to drink when he's out on the road or just relaxing at home? What's something from down under that I need to try?
Well, I think you've got a lot of the good ones. We had this thing when we were touring over there, and I think there's 15 or 18 shows and all that, so all jammed in there as least amount of days naturally, so it's all hectic.
Of course.
Yeah, it takes its toll on you, and you go, all right. We found a thing called the problem solver, like meaning that it'll save the problem of getting fired up and doing a good show. So we got Patron, and we'd have a couple of shots of that Patron with anything like just a little splash of Kahlua or something like that. Always seemed to sort the problem out.
I believe it.
Of course, yeah, that can get out of hand. Then a beer sipper can be a problem solver, and then they rapidly turn into a problem creator. But apart from that, on the drinking thing, Jack Daniels is a favourite of mine. I think vodkas are handy. Well, you can make them taste like they're not alcohol at all, which can be good and dangerous.
But if you're lucky, you don't remember the dangerous parts.
What's your choice?
Well, generally, I like to stick with the gins, gin and tonics, mainly Bombay Sapphire. But I also enjoy the whiskeys now and then.
And you would think he's paid to say that, but unfortunately, he isn't.
I have paid to say that.
Yeah, sponsored by Bombay Sapphire.
If only.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
You know, speaking of Aussie things, how about Aussie curse words?
What?
Aussie curse words.
Well, what's some of your favorites? You asked about his favorite Australian drinks, Harper. I'm asking about his favorite Australian bad words.
Okay, it's culture. Go for it.
Yeah, well, I think one of our favourites. He's laughing in the background there already. I think one of the favourites would be people get to be called a wanker.
Oh yeah, we're familiar with that one.
Yeah, wanker. I think he's pretty common.
I actually used that one with a friend from the UK. Not knowing he would take it as serious as he did, and he got pretty pissed off.
Yeah, well, that's it. I think UK, because we have a lot of flip over lingo going on. Yeah, they take it a bit more serious than us. We can say it in a tone where you're just a bit of a funny guy, and you say, "Hey, you wanker," which is kind of just jovial, but they take it as very offensive, like you're a dickhead.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah. So
yeah, there really should be signs posted when you travel. That. What words translate to what?
Yeah, especially here because we've got so many made up words. There's books that you can get.
It just came to mind that I have a Australian friend who uses a particular 4-letter C word that we cannot get away with using in public around here.
Oh no, I have friends that use that in like how we say mate. Everything's
right.
Mate on the end of it, or all through it. But this guy uses that word in place of that. So,
you listeners who are putting 2 and 2 together, it rhymes with punt.
Yes, exactly. And he'll use that word in place of mate just naturally, and I don't know how his nose is still straight. I just don't. It amazes me that he gets away with it, but he does.
Yeah, I used to work with a guy from Wales who did the same thing.
No, I think it's not a favourable word. It's got a feel about it that doesn't seem right.
I promise we'll get back to talking about music soon.
Yeah, no, you're right.
All right, well, before I get distracted and break my promise, let me just get back to some music questions right now. No clever segues, just straight back into it.
Yeah.
Normally I'm the master of the cheesy segue, but no, hard cut right into it. You mentioned that right now you're doing some touring locally in Australia.
Yeah.
Are you writing while you're on the road, or is that something you like to do just back at the dairy shed, or?
Yeah, I usually write them just when you've got 5 or 10 minutes, in between it, and you just pick up the guitar and not really thinking about anything, just passing the time away, and that's when it tends to be. That's when a good tune comes out, not when you say, right, I'm going to go round at 8 o'clock.
So basically, whatever the spirit moves you.
Yeah, I think it's when the spirit moves you and when you've got a little bit of time, then you take it to the studio and however you remember your ideas, then try to get them to a point after that.
So what kind of sound do you have coming out of you right now? With your first album, Soul Casino, there was a consistent sound all throughout. With the new album that you're putting together, do you hear anything different? Any changes in your musical style coming out of you?
Yeah, I think it is different. I think there's a few more up-tempo. Not that this one's going to be going crazy, but it's definitely a bit more up-tempo.
So it's an up-tempo essence of Turk.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that they all are, because there's some really slow ones that are pretty cool on it too. It's, I think everyone will find it very interesting if they're into Soul Casino. It's progressive.
Well, I'll definitely have to talk to you again once the album comes out and have a few problem solvers, or more than a few.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, blues is the answer to most questions anyway.
Didn't know if you said blues or booze.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Both.
Well, especially if it's Bombay Sapphire, it's blue bottle and all.
Ah, yeah, it's all color-coded.
Exactly.
All right, Turk, before you go, we'd like to play one more track from Soul Casino.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like us to play?
Yeah, maybe if you play Wasted, that's a song about when I first got over to Nashville and just how large the town is, the industry, how good the musicians were, and a little bit daunting, but that's what I wrote about, the first impact of the whole thing on my first visit there.
Ah, that's a good pick. The first time I listened to Wasted, I got a bit of a Doors vibe. Were you a Doors fan?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Well, I think it would be a wasted opportunity if we didn't have you introduce your song.
Well, there's those cheesy segues again.
There it is, all right. It's a song from Turk Tresize, being me, called Wasted.
All right, everyone, here it is on the Blues Record. Thanks, Turk.
Thanks, guys.
See you, buddy.